TV10. Gano Mazima. Webali kuba nti okyatambula naffe ku TV10 Gano Mazima. Program mwetuli era bagiyita Gano Mazima. Mwetukolera nno okunoonyereza okwo okutunuulidde ebitongole ebyenjawulo, abantu ba ssekinnoomu saako ne abo abalowoozebwa nti tebakwatwako baba nantagambwako. Obulyake saako n'obukenuzi naddala kye tuyita enguzi abasinga obungi, naye nga mu general term kubeera kubba ssente za gavumenti ne bazikozesa ebintu ebirala by'essira lye tuliko. Nkyali mu kitongole kino ekimanyikiddwa nga Uganda Industrial Research Institute kye bakazaako mu bufunze Uiri, era nga emivuyo egiri mu kitongole kino gye gimu ku egyo eginzigyeyo okujja okutunuulira. It's now coming to years eziwerera ddala nga nannyini akulira ekitongole kino Ssenkulu waakyo Professor Charles Kwesiga afuuse nantagambwako mu ngeri emu oba endala. Oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti bamuloopye mu bitongole ebyenjawulo kumbulankanya y'ensimbi z'ekitongole kino zagenda nakyo maaso, naye n'agaana okubaako bwe yeddako. Ate abo abagezaako okubaako n'okwemulugunya abasinga bagobeddwa ku mirimu, abalala batulugunyiziddwa n'okutiisibwatiisibwa okw'enjawulo. Ndina omukulu omu ku abo eyamize ensanafu n'asalawo aveeyo abeeku by'atunnyonnyola. Akulira Procurement oba okugula ebintu by'ekitongole, engeri gye balina okuba nga bagulamu ebyo ebyetaagisa oba we balina okubiteeka. Naye bwe twogerera balabika nga gwe basindise ku katebe oluvannyuma lw'okuvaayo okwemulugunya n'ebiwandiiko ebimu ne babimuwambako n'ofiisi ne bagimugobamu ate nga y'abadde avunaanyizibwa ku ebyo. Awo nno ne bateekawo mikwano gy'oyo abataamulyemu lukoba kumuloopayo. Nkwaniriza ssebo era amannya go gwani?
Nyanza ssebo Mr. Moderator. Bamta tugumisirize Zefa. Tugumisirize Zefa. Tugumisirize Zefa is the head of procurement at Uiri since 2021.
So limyaka nga 10.
No, I am only 3 years, coming to 3 years.
2021.
Yes, 2021.
Okay.
So in other words, I am coming to 3 years within the organization of Uiri. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a procurement specialist. Bwebukugu bwange. Not only a procurement specialist. I am the certified trainer of trainees in the petroleum. I am a health and safety expert, UK. I am a member of Society of Petroleum Engineers, USA. Mr. Moderator, I am a chartered member of the Institute of Logistics and Transport, UK. Mr. Moderator, I have served in different organizations in this country for 20 years. I've been a lecturer for 10 years in different universities, lecturing in procurement and public procurement. And most Ugandans and procurement officers in different government offices have passed in my hands.
For such a big and non-computable profile, why did you choose to go and work for such an institute which is already disorganized like the way we see it today?
I didn't know it was disorganized to this very extent. And I was promised heaven on earth.
By who?
By when I applied, because I was having qualifications for the advertised job. Mr. Moderator, I came to Uiri through a competitive environment, through the advert, and we competed 8 people. On the day of the interview, There was the deputy executive director. There were two directors. There was a consultant and director from PPDA, Public Procurement and Disposal Entity, and the authority. There were also other observers to see how transparently that interview would be conducted. I was chosen among the 8. They margin the winner and the most competent.
Then I'm still wondering, you're such a qualified person, and I don't think that such a qualified person can be compromised at any point of how now you people, you're running that department of Uiri and make it that it's one of the worst performing institute the government has ever set up.
Mr. Moderator, that's why I've come out at this material time to be able to preempt the procurement dilemma in public procurement in Uganda Industrial Research Institute. This is a dilemma. And we can interpret as I am betrayed by my own accounting officer. As a professional person, have been betrayed. With all those qualifications, with all those the experience, I was shocked the 14 days when I arrived in Uiri. That's why I met him after the 14 days. And he briefed me, number one, that the reason why my predecessors were sent away, because he was talking to suppliers. Number two, he would contact suppliers for quotations. Number three, he would negotiate with suppliers for value for money. And that was the time when I really felt I should run away from the institution, because I was dealing with an accounting officer who was not knowledgeable in any procurement. A procurement person should deal with suppliers, should ensure there is value for money. He should get quotations. He should make comparative analysis for prices. And this is an accounting officer. When you are a person who's mindful of using the principles, the rules, and the regulations as per the PPDA, then you cannot work with him. I want to mention, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow NLM cadres, because I trained cadre, my fellow procurement professionals, ladies and gentlemen, what brings me here is the level of impunity at Uganda Industrial Research Institute. And I'm betrayed by my accounting officer on how he's managing Uiri as an institution.
My simple question again. After having found out that the person I'm dealing with or I'm working with as my head of accounts is too incompetent, is too not knowledgeable at all of what is supposed to be done in an institute, why would we continue to work with him?
The first thing I was told, because I tried to come up with the creative innovations to make sure there is value for money
in that institute.
Number one, I felt like the first time I should be to train people, the end users, on their roles and responsibilities within the procurement process.
Including your boss?
No, basically, I wanted to start with the end users, the stakeholders involved in the procurement process. And the only thing I got, the response I got from when I tried to initiate it through the HR office, Human Resource Manager, he said, Zephyr, please go through. I want to mention that even the 14th day, when I met the professor, I was with one of the directors. When I tried to explain some of the issues, the roles of procurement, one of the directors signaled to me and said, please, Zephyr, Genapora, this is a king. You cannot, I cannot advise his statement is very final. And therefore, please take your time. I should have resigned on the 14th day. This is your information. When I met him, And his understanding of procurement was contrary to what I've been practicing for 20 years and have never seen any accounting officer who does not understand the functions of procurement. I want to mention.
Who is the overall supervisor of that institute?
The overall supervisor of institute should be the minister. The minister of Science, Innovation and Technology, who is Dr. Misonero.
But I've heard that they are not on the same page in terms of advising him or supervising him.
Yeah, I mean, their relationship could be they have their personal issues. But for your information, I wanted to mention that in terms of procurement procedures, the procurement independence and procurement, which is very core to ensure value for money. Because like me, as a head of procurement, my role would be definitely to make sure I deliver goods and services necessary to accomplish government missions in a timely, economic, and efficient manner. But for your information, is that procurement has been reduced to a clerical function other than a strategic function, where the roles of procurement have been taken over by end users. End users get quotations, raise requisitions, get quotations, send it to the accounting officer. Accounting officer endorses, please issue RPO. Even if it is 200 million, 300 million, 400 million, 500 million. And when you try to, because this is his decision as an accounting officer, when you try to advise, my predecessors tried to advise over the threshold, which one should go for an LPO, which one should go for competitive bidding. This is the procedure he does not want. And the function, the procurement function department has been, it is clerical. They have 6 members within a department. Their roles are only to issue RPO. Mindful, we need to be mindful of one thing, that value for money is achieved when you are able to compare prices from different suppliers. This is the end user getting 3 quotations from one supplier and sending it to the professor to sign, and the professor signs, issue an RPO. And you have no powers to change, and it tells you, I have the power as an accounting officer. Now, that is the issue of independence.
Does that institute has auditors who audits the books of accounts?
We have auditors, we have an internal audit.
Do they do their job?
We need to know how the auditors came in, whether they are competent. Because competence could be based on competitive recruitment. Mm-hmm. If all stakeholders within organizations are appointed by an accounting officer and working for him, then you cannot get
What do you mean
working
for him?
I'm saying all the end users in the different departments, if they were not working for him, then he would be sending these all of these documents to procurement to act.
If I recall well, wangambe wabadde bakuwa mulimo, you competed with 8 people and you emerged the winner through a competitive interview where you portrayed all what you have so that you surpass other people's credentials and you take the job. How comes that to other departments, they don't follow the same procedures of recruiting them into their working positions?
For your information, if you carried out an investigation right now,
I'm under into that.
You would find that around 70% of people who are in that very institute did not come through competitive recruitment. And this information that you can get, this is information that you can get from HR office, human resource office, that most of these are handpicked, promoted, not on merit, but because they have a relationship with the accounting officer.
What do you mean relationship? Being relative, girlfriends, friends, what?
It could be relatives, it could be having friends or a son of his friend. Mr. Moderator, I also want to mention that in the procurement terms, when there is no adherence to the principles of procurement, then there is no value for money. Ugandans taxpayers should know that the money that is being used in Uiri is government money from a consolidated fund, and that is taxpayers' money. And therefore, when you procure anything without procurement principles of accountability, there is no integrity, there is no efficiency, you are not competing, the suppliers are not being competed, then there is no value for money. All of this work is done by end users. Procurement is completely detached from the whole process.
If I'm to ask, is there any position where you can mention that inti mu kitongole kyange kino ekya procurement kyenkulembera sente bweziti zaabula naye nga nali nina okuba nga mmanye ebigenda okugulibwa ne zigula ebintu ebitaaleetebwa mu kitongole?
You see, Mr. Moderator, when you see the recent investigations,
because I've heard there is 200 million which
by State House Anti-Corruption Unit, they were all about procurement, how procurement has been taken over by an accounting officer.
Did they get the report?
The report hasn't come from, and I request that this report, there were a lot of investigations that were conducted on more than 5 issues. These investigations were not on procurement officers. They were not on procurement head. They were on one person, an accounting officer, who was doing his procurement behind procurement unit.
Come again. A minute, come again. An accounting officer?
Yes.
He has appointed himself to do the role
of procurement, using some internal people within an organization to undertake procurement and deliver items without the knowledge of procurement. For instance,
are you not confusing yourself or confusing the public?
Not really.
You said he's using
members within the organization, and these are the end users, to procure items, which items benefit him as an individual.
They are not used by the institute.
Most of them are not used by institute. Or if they are used by institute, for instance, the recent investigation.
Where did he deliver those goods?
Some of these goods were delivered in his home in Kabale. Some of the goods, the investigations, I don't want to get involved into this because the investigation is still going on. Mm-hmm. But why not?
But you're already out.
The suspects in this. Number one of some of even the equipment was the director, Joanita, where millions of money, procuring millions of money from a certain supplier who is unknown, is not in existence. In the collaboration definitely with the budget analyst, Raymond, to be very precise. And these are the suspects in investigations. I want to mention also that through those investigations, because there were very many involved, when we are still waiting, and I request, because I'm a whistleblower right now, and I need protection from government agencies. I need protection from the Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology.
Madam Musanero.
Yes, Dr. Musanero.
But he also fears him.
Because I'm dealing with the mafia.
Come again?
I am dealing with the mafia. I want to state it. I'm dealing with the mafia. And anything from now, Mr. Medoroka.
We're going to get Mpola. Yes. Who is that mafia?
The accounting officer. The way he does his things.
Professor Charles Kwesiga?
Professor Charles Kwesiga. The way he does his things, I sincerely don't think they deserve his level.
How old is Mr. Kwesiga?
I am not very sure, but I'm told 78 years. 78 years. And this is why I'm saying, because I have come out as a whistleblower, I need protection from government agencies. I need protection from the supervisor of Uiri, who's the minister, because anything that will happen to me after this presentation, then the accounting office of Uiri and his management should be held responsible, because I am trying to bring out the impunity within an organization, and I am betrayed by my accounting officer, Professor Charles Kwesiga.
How did the Uiri transferred itself from Ministry of Trade to Science and Innovation?
You see, I was not around, but right now I am told from the Minister of Trade, he was running away from the challenges he was having with the then minister. And right now we are Minister of
Who was that
Science,
minister by
Innovation.
then?
I think it was the minister, this lady who was the Minister of Trade, Amalia Chambade. Right now we are under the Minister of Science, Innovation and Technology. But his appointment, renewal of contract has been given by trade. We need the government to streamline this, such that we know exactly where we are.
So where exactly do you belong?
Where do we belong? That is the question that we need to ask the accounting officer of this.
Do you have a running budget?
We have a running budget, yes.
From which ministry?
From the Minister of Science, Innovation and Technology.
When they have not renewed or asserted their...
Those are the issues, that the accounting officer and his supervisor, the ministry...
No. Let's clarify on this confusion. The executive director of Uiri is awarded a contract from Ministry of Trade.
Yep.
Yet the accounting officer picks the budget from Ministry of Science and Innovation. Where exactly do you belong? You're a procurement officer.
We belong, as per now, we belong under Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology.
How comes that he's not responsible to his contract?
There could be personal issues and maybe the conflicts that could be within themselves. I may not be able to answer that. Maybe at a future date, he will be able to answer that.
How is his lifestyle? Because you're a procurement officer, you issue out things which are not even supposed to be done in the ministry.
You see, I want to mention this very categorical, without fear or favor.
You have the floor.
That we need to understand, because there are very many invoices that come from Fairway Hotel. We need to understand the meetings that are always conducted in fair hotels of millions of money, whether they add value to Uiri as an institution.
A minute.
If it is the center of his...
Is it every day, every week, every month, or annually?
Monthly. These records can be gotten from accounts, those who pay. Okay? So his lifestyle here, I can say he knows it, and those who are around him know how he spends and using government money. I also wanted to mention, gentlemen, that the State House and corruption investigations, it was a spark to a lot of victimization in Uiri. Because very many people were investigated, were called to State House and corruption to make statements. in regard to transactions that were done by the accounting officer himself outside procurement, and millions of money. And right now, the people who were called for statements are in fear because there is information that came back to the information that Anti-Corruption Court had shared the copies of the statements that they made, and this was aired out and everyone is in fear. For example,
were you summoned also?
I was summoned. I was summoned, but he was very uncomfortable. I want to mention it. Professor Kwesiga was very uncomfortable to release me to go to State House Anti-Corruption to make statements.
Did you give them the information they wanted?
It was through Anti-Corruption, State House Anti-Corruption, forcefully making it clear to this, though he had not even, he never wanted me to go, telling him, please, we need these documents, we need him here since he's the head of the department. He was very quiet on me until they pushed him to a certain level, and I was meant to go. And when I went, made various statements as per what they required, and it is now the basis of why I'm now being victimized. Mr. Moderator, right now I'm being threatened. I'm being threatened after making those statements. I'm being threatened
that what?
To the extent that I am the one who shared the files. Those files that were shared with the media, I was for my research in Mombasa. A week when I came, I found the investigations were going on in the department and the entire organization. And right now, I'm being victimized.
Did you still have your job?
I don't know whether I still have the job, because through the victimization I've seen, number one, is that through...
You decided to add salt in sugar, eh?
No, not adding salt in sugar. I am NLM cadre. President Museveni, in many trainings and meetings and lectures he has given us as cadres, NLM cadres, he has categorically stated it, that if you are a patriot and an NLM, when there is any level of impunity, then come out and speak out.
But you people, you have said that gentleman is a friend to the president.
I am here to air out the level of impunity, to be very categorical, to be recorded, to be in public, that the level of impunity in Uiri has gone beyond its level.
Did you still call it as a impunity, or it is a level of bribery and corruption?
It is a mixture of impunity, bribery, and corruption.
Misuse of the office.
And misuse of the office. Now, let me, in the terms of victimization, as the head of procurement, I've been, my rights to what we call IFMIS, the Integrated Financial Management System in finance, Ministry of Finance, where I am supposed to monitor procurements. I am supposed to know what is coming out from the procurements, has been scrapped. The rights have been scrapped from me by an accounting officer and given out to my junior. In other words, right now, I'm very redundant.
So you're now a free man, yeah? Number
two is that there has been a confiscation of procurement files.
By who?
By an accounting officer.
Of what reason?
And the reason is very clear. Number one, he thinks that when they are in his hands, they are more safer. But remember, these files were taken away, confiscated during the time when there was investigations. And the people who were being implicated is the accounting officer, the director, and the budget analyst. I want to clearly state...
Who are those people? By names?
I need to clearly state that by confiscating procurement files is an illegality. Number one, by law, PPDA law. PDU, or procurement unit, is the secretariat of the entity and must keep procurement files and responsible for any procurement that is done within an entity. These files are now in the hands of the director Joan and the budget analyst, and these are the people who were.
Can we get to know their names? Because we need to know them. He's
the director, Joan. Another name I cannot get it very well. And then Noah Raymond, who is the financial, the one in charge of budgets, actually has been uplifted, promoted to acting finance director. Now,
where did the finance director go?
He was frustrated. He was frustrated, and the same way. I want to mention this, that the kind of frustration I'm going through, my predecessors went through them when he was trying to enforce some rules and procedures in the same. The finance director was chased out of the office by the accounting officer. And
Professor
Kwesiga, and denying him the contract. When you look at what was who was the accounting officer, I mean an accountant, he was just in the same way. So we are saying from today onwards, these procurement files which are in the hands of people who are not procurement, where we cannot be sure of the authenticity of these documents. It is an illegality. And these are the very people, those who are managing these files right now under key and lock, approved by the accounting officer. They were the very people who are suspects in the recent procurement investigations. So this is an illegality. And I want to mention categorically in public right now that those files, I disown them because there was a lot of forgery made on them because those documents were they used.
A minute, Mr. Zephyr.
Yes.
The files belongs to your
The files
office.
belong to procurement as a secretariat and a custodian of procurement files under the entity. When they confiscated them,
you disown them.
We gave them because they are now not in our hands. We are not sure of their authenticity, and I'm told there was a lot of forgery done on some of the documents.
Why would they go to that extent of forging the document?
Yeah, because this was the areas of investigation. Some of the files that were transferred, those are the files where State House and corruption were interested in. And this is it.
So how far is the report of State House and Corruption Unit? Are they still investigating the institute?
Moderator, we are waiting for this very report. And this is...
when people have already lost their jobs and even others are not...
They are intimidated, they are victimized, there is fear.
Do they protect the whistleblowers? I mean the anti-corruption unit.
This is why, right now, being in open interview, I want to see how far they can be able to protect me. I want to see how government entities who are mindful on curbing corruption, whether I am going to be protected. I need to be protected as a whistleblower.
Have you ever taken the initiative to meet the minister and address this matter? I mean Dr. Msenero. Or you also fear there?
You see, Mr. Moderator, you are working with the Mafia, His Highness, with a lot of investigation. Professor, oh, he's a king. In an organization, he's a king. He's a king of the organization. And for that matter, anything to be undertaken, you need to be very, very, very extra careful. This is why I am here today. And this is going to set a precedent in this country that where there is impunity, when you are suffocated, your profession should stand out, come out and speak out.
To the public?
You go to the public. If you cannot be heard from other sources, go to the public, view out your issues to the public, whistleblow to the public, to the taxpayers, to His Excellency the country, the president of this country, to good loving Ugandans to understand the pain you are going through as a profession in an environment where you cannot be accepted to view out anything, to guide, and the decisions are always with one person.
An interjection. If at all you're a cadre, like as you have said, I think you have an access to the president, not so?
Only when we have trainings and, yeah.
You have reached the extent of failing to make this information to go through to him, to meet him?
Now that I've really come out,
you're pretty sure that he will?
I am pretty sure he will come and I will be able to meet the president.
Then secondly, what makes Professor the king in from your phrases?
Number one,
makes him to be so special that he can't...
So special, he brags of being closer to the president. Okay?
In which capacity?
In a capacity that he was his OB.
From which school?
Job from Tale. He gave him the job. And he's so more close. And we don't know how that closeness brings impunity in Uiri and taxpayers' money is being misused. Mr. Moderator, I want to mention that there have been a lot of non-compliances in procurement every financial year being reported. These reports, even audit reports, cannot come to procurement. It is a preserve of him and the budget.
Then what are you doing there? When things have gone astray to this extent, what are you still doing there?
In other words, my powers, my roles in procurement have been usurped by the by accounting officer and his cohorts within an organization which work for him as an individual. I want to assure you, in terms of value for money, the procurement I taught for 10 years in different universities, the qualifications I have never seen an organization being managed like Uiri. The level of maladministration in that organization, I have never. The intimidation, fear, victimization, grapevine, and character assassination. And they all work for him.
You've talked about receipts coming from Fairway Hotel, but you did not give a conclusive report on them or details. What exactly are they doing there? Because one time I went there and there is a certain bar named the Professor's Bar. Have you ever gone there?
Myself, I have never gone there, and I don't need to be there. I don't need to be there because profession, I don't.
A procurement officer.
I am a procurement officer.
You don't go to bars here?
And I don't drink. And in any case,
you don't hang out?
I don't think he feels I'm the person to go with. He knows his people who go to that same place.
Where's Vivian?
Vivian is he's an auditor. He's an auditor in Uiri.
Does she does her job?
She must be doing her job. She must be doing her job, I presume.
In a professional way or in a relationship way?
Because I don't have yardsticks to
measure
whether she does it professionally or in a relationship way. The accounting officer knows better.
How are they related to? Between Mr. Kwesiga, Professor, and Vivian?
I know he was brought in. She comes from Kabale. She was brought in. Like others have been handpicked from different places, and they are brought in. And that's what I know.
Have you ever heard about the trip to Dubai between Professor Kwesiga and Vivian?
Yes, the recent trip.
It was for what? Was it an official or their lifestyle visit?
First of all, I did not look at the documents to see whether there was an invitation specifically for the two people. But what I know is that there was a trip for the two people. So I don't know whether it was official or non-official.
In those trips where he visits or moves out or travels out, did he travel with officials from like those at the top management of the institute, or he moves out with his girlfriends?
No, once in a while, because I've been at Uiri for almost 3 years.
But okay, in a space of 3 years, it is enough
3 years
to understand.
He has not moved with any. No, he moved once to South Africa with some, I think, 2 ladies. There was an event there, signing of a memorandum, and the electors have been moving out on their own, and so I may not be sure that they are moving out is on relationship level or on official level. So that one can be gotten from.
On 8th of March,
yeah,
I've seen Professor Kwesiga moving out with Vivian again to Nairobi.
I'm not.
Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware. On 8th, I'm not aware. I'm not aware.
That was the Women's Day.
Oh, I am not aware. Then we need to be educated.
But they went to celebrate the Women's Day in Kenya, to join the Kenyans.
I see. Okay, great. That is a good.
Is it part of the work supposed to be done in Uiri?
That's a great information which I didn't have. But if it was official, then you can get from the documentation.
And on 20th
yes,
of February, according to the itinerary at immigration, he was seen traveling to Dubai. Is it the same information you have?
No. As I mentioned, is that their movements, I cannot ascertain whether their movements are based on official invitations or private movements. But if they are moving, then we need to ascertain from the documentation, because when you are paying for their flights, there are some documents, okay? Invitation documents, or whether it is personally initiated, then we know that this is personally initiated, and therefore they are moving out for their leisure time.
So being that he's the accounting officer, did he really report all his activities after spending the institute's money to you, the accounting of, to the procurement and other accounting officers?
No, actually the accountability should be done to accounts, okay? Yeah, they should be done to accounts. And this is now the question that should go to accounts department in terms of accountability. When he's given money, does he give an accountability for the money given? And for when you are issuing out of money, you are giving money for which activities? And definitely you are spending against which activities, and you account accordingly. You
talked about the Kabale girls. Like Vivian was picked from Kabale. Is there any other girls from Kabale who are being employed at Uiri?
If you want that information, definitely HR department has a list of all. Actually, for your information, HR department has information, the file of every staff, how he came in, how he has been promoted on what merit, and when he came in. So if you want to understand the position of the recruitment process in Uiri, whether it is handpicking of individuals and from which area and by what qualification, vis-a-vis those who come through competition, that is the information that you can easily get from HR. Right now, I may not tell you this and this came through a competition, this and this. However, we have a new HR. I want to, through you, moderator, to mention that the new HR, anything that happens right now in Uiri, and the new HR is being used in any way to victimize because there is a lot of fear within an organization, then she will be held responsible and sued as an individual. We no longer need to sue organizations. We sue an individual for his failure, either to advise or if you accept to go with the accounting officer's decisions without any guidance, then that is the problem.
Anything else you need to talk
Anything
about?
else, Mr. Moderator, as a procurement person, there is an issue of asset management within Uiri. Uiri uses consolidated funds. All assets in Uiri procured should be engraved as per the government policy. I want to assure you that during the time when I entered, I authored a document to him to be able to authorize engraving of all equipments in different centers of excellence in Uiri. And
what was the reference? The response?
The response was, please see me. When I went to see him, he asked me, what role do you play in asset management? I said, assets, we maintain assets in a liaison with accounts. And for that matter, we need to know where all of these assets are. And he says, you have no role because some of these assets were procured when we were not here. And I went ahead and said, you see, stores has a duty and accounts to monitor, to depreciate, to know their values, to know where these assets are. And he says, those are incompetent people. Today, the assets of government in the different procured by Uiri, in the different centers of excellence, are not engraved, cannot be traced where they are not traceable, and someone can give it as a donation at any time.
How many centers of excellence do you have as Uiri, or belongs to that institute?
We have a number of them, but some of them are incubators, incubator centers for incubatees to help them out. But definitely there is one in Kabale, which is the prime one, a center of excellence, which is there. So the issue of asset management is very, very, very critical. If you are to get value for money, we need to trace, and the role falls within procurement, accounts, and finance to make sure we trace where they are. If there were donations, these are donations of the government and they use government money. They need to be verified. They need to be given values. They need to be engraved to trace them even when they are wherever. Mr. Moderator, it is a shock. And I wouldn't be here if we had a robust system in Uiri. I wouldn't be here. As a whistleblower, I would run it to the board. There is no board.
Then how are they operating?
There is no board. The accounting officer
fires
to have a board. For now almost 8 years, there is no board. We have the minister supervising this entity. Under Minister of Science and Innovation, we need to have reduced this level, to minimize this level of victimization of someone of exercising his powers.
Now that means the minister has not also done her job, because if at all the overhead supervisor of such an institute and it goes to close to 8 years without seeing the board, is it really add up?
This is very unfortunate for the institution.
Does the minister knows her capacity or role to play?
I think she knows. We need to, this is why I'm here, that when this presentation goes viral.
Where did the board members disappear?
I am told they had a rift between the accounting officer and the members, and they decided to run away. So in other words,
this doesn't, it's unexcusable answer.
Very well.
For one reason.
Then there should be...
How many are they?
I think there were 5.
And they all go silent without even informing the minister?
Mr. Moderator,
not even petitioning to the parliament?
That is now an area of an investigation that needs to be investigated further to find out the level of weakness we have in this country. That an institution can be in the hands of one person, he fires,
the board members?
No. The accounting officer right now, because he has no board member, he fires and
but
hires.
But he fired the board members?
No, he's not the one who fired. I think the situation that were created by then. This is why we said we need an investigation.
No, let's not dodge the word.
Yes.
If at all they are not functioning, that means he fired them. Is it true or not?
He could have fired them or not, because they are not.
Where are they?
They are not in existence. This is an issue.
Then what does it mean? It means he has fired them.
He could have fired them
You
because
accept
of his powers. Let me say he fired them because they are not in existence. But we need to investigate.
Close to 8 years.
Yes.
No board members.
Yep.
No whatever. You can't do even any audit to them.
Yep.
But the gentleman renews his contract without renewing the contract of the board.
Yep.
Does the minister really knows his job?
I think that's the role of the minister. The minister needs to be investigated.
Or it comes as a result that Uiri belongs to Minister of Trade, partly, and partly belongs to
then that confusion
science.
should be put right.
Because it is one institution,
yes,
mixing up 2 ministries, taking the budget of 2 ministries, because we are not aware. There is no way you can award someone a contract without giving him the budget. I'm talking to the Minister of Trade. Then let's go to Minister of Science and Innovation. You can't award a budget to an institute when you have not awarded them a contract and you have not seen the board that runs the institute.
That is the confusion. That is the confusion that exists in Uiri. And I'm saying...
And you people, you're comfortably just seated
we're
there?
Not comfortably. This is why some of us will come out to challenge this. I should be addressing all these issues to the board. All people who have been victimized, whose contracts have been renewed through Fairway Hotel, and others being denied through Fairway Hotel discussions.
So Fairway Hotel becomes an HR.
Yeah, because if you are not with him, then you are without a contract. And for that matter, all of these issues should be now coming through the board.
Is it the reason why we've seen a number of ladies hanging out with him for the days we've been tracking him? Because I've gone to Fairway, I don't want to lie.
Okay.
For some good days. And I've seen him hanging out with some young ladies and some young boys.
Possibly, that could be even his
drinking
informer.
From
this could be even his informers within an organization.
Drinking from 7 to wee hours in the night.
Well.
It was around 4 a.m. when we left that place. And we told that he has a suit. He sleeps there. At a certain, some days, he sleeps there.
Oh, great. Great that you have been able to
The
find
time
out.
I was around watching him,
yeah,
every person who was leaving, going back, he has to go with a parcel.
Oh, I'm happy that you have been able to find out of that. To find out that.
The reason why I called you to my interview,
yes,
it is after seeing what is happening. And I'm still puzzled.
Yeah.
How comes that it is reached to this extent when all government institutes, those who are even responsible to fight corruption and misuse of government money, have not done any visible action to Uiri?
Mr. Moderator, that is the puzzle that is still lingering in people's minds, including myself.
So what are you doing?
I have done my part. by trying to exemplify
and exonerate yourself,
giving the details of what is the dilemma in the procurement process and how I'm being betrayed by my accounting officer, Professor Kwesiga, because he's a person who cannot be advised. He's always final in everything, the most intelligent, and as a professional, you cannot advise him. You cannot work with somebody who's a person, a professional who wants to see things being done professionally using principles and procedures.
Then my simple question, what happened to the 200 million as we are summing up? There is 200 million which was issued by Dr. Musenero to renovate the entire buildings of Uiri at Kyambogo. I think that money should be channeled into your office of procurement to see who are going to do the job and what. Did you really?
You see, some of the controversies in Uiri are all on accountability. Who knows? The rift between the accounting officer and Dr. Musenero could be on accountability issues. How you use the money, okay? Without accounting, without accountability. So now, the issue of accountability, if Musenero gave the money, Dr. Musenero gave the money to Uiri and did not account, then now that is an issue between the ministry, and that could be the reason why they are always flexing muscles here and there, and they are not at par. However, as Ugandans, we need a solution to this dilemma that we are facing.
Still need Uiri as an institute?
We still need Uiri with a different management.
To such a non-performing institute?
With a different management. The President, His Excellency, has the mandate. After listening to whatever is going around, let him also investigate. Okay? We are coming out as professionals, and I want to sound this without fear or favor. We need Uiri. Most countries developed, Malaysia, Singapore, and other countries have developed to the developed countries because of the institute, industrial research. Uganda, where we are now, unless you change the management and change this extravagant, self-styled king without a kingdom.
Don't misuse.
No. I have to say it. I have to say it. His behavior, if you cannot talk to somebody, he thinks he's the Alpha and the Supreme, the Alpha and the Omega. You cannot have a debate with him. I'm a kind of a person who has been in academia, intellectual debates, ideas, and most professors know me as Zephyr. Very prominent, very, very good. Mind you, I'm doing a PhD. I am doing a PhD in transport systems and health and safety in USA. I am not a moral person, but when I come here to air out some grievances, because I am frustrated, I have been betrayed by my accounting officer. Actually, that is now the dub, how can I dub it? I have been betrayed by my accounting officer. And I stand to that without fear, and I will challenge anybody
who comes across that.
Who will come contrary to that.
We can't go further. Wano wetuyinza okukoma olunaku olwaleero okubaddizaako mu lulimi olw'amangu ffenna tubeere nga tukwataganira wamu. I found out that nti Mr. Zephyr ali much more conversant to air out his grievances nga ayise mu lulimi olwo oluzungu era ne muleka tutambuliraawo. Naye ku lw'abantu ba bulijjo tuli ku mivuyo n'okunoonyereza okugenda maaso mu kitongole kino ekya Uganda Industrial Research Institute. Okubulankanyizibwa kw'ensimbi za muwi w'omusolo gavumenti zeeteekayo n'okuba nti Ssenkulu w'ekitongole kino gwe baalonda okuba ng'akikulembera Professor Charles Kwesiga agambibwa okuba nti nantagambwako, tawabulwa, takola ki, akola by'ayagala, bw'ogezaako okumuwakanya omulimu toyina oba obulamu bwo buba buli mu matigga. Bye bimu ku bye tubadde twogerako era nga ndowooza tusaba bekikwatako okubanga bavaayo okubaako ne bibanyonyola. Ngezezzaako okunoonya Dr. Musenero nambuzaabuza kyekigambo kye nnyinza okwogera ekyangu because teyaganye kumpa interview wabula bikaseera ngamba nti ndi busy mu ngeri emu oba endala siyinza kugamba nti yanyimye interview oba yagimpadde wabula tuli awo nyebe yampadde okukwatagana naye bwe mbakubira amasimu bangamba kimu tewali budde oyo nkyamulesi wabbali. Nanoonyezaako Honorable Amelia kyambadde nangamba nti eyo navaayo sisobola kubyogerako ne muleka. Bwe nakubidde ku Dr. Elioda Twemwesije naye nangamba ekintu kyekimu mugendo onoonye Musenero yamanye ebintu byoyo. So all in all tewali ali willing kuvaayo kujja kwogera ku Professor Kwesigana ddala ku bakulu abalina okuba nga be bamutwala. Nze Dean Lubowa Saava Sekiranda Salongo. Program Gano Mazima nga bulijjo era tujja kudda n'omulundi omulala n'ebintu ebirala ebinaba biriko. Nkoze ne Rashid Kasule, Brian Mutalwa saako ne Mulekwa Faluku be ndi nabo. Ku ntebe mbadde ne Mr. Zefa tugumisirize. Era yavuddeyo onaakola mu kitongole ekya Uiri wabula oluvannyuma lw'okulaba ebyo ebitagenda bulungi maaso asazeewo okuvaayo abeeko kyayogera oba oli awo bekikwatako basobole okuba nga bakakasa ebyo ebyogerwako era babeere nga babiddamu n'ebibuuzo ebyetaagibwa. Akakiiko aka Anti-Corruption Unity kagambibwa okuba nti keetaagibwa kuba kalina okunoonyereza kwe kali mu kukolako naye ate bye kali mu kunoonyereza kabikutte ne kabiwa oyo gwe banoonyerezaako nga kamuloopera abo abamuloopye. So nawo waliwo obutali bwenkanya obugenda mu maaso mu ggwanga. Katukwatagana omulundi omulala Mukama Katonda abankuumire mweraba. Webale kuba nti obadde mugoberezi mulungi nnyo mu kawungeezi k'olwaleero wabula era tukusaba nti osobola okusigala ng'otugobererako bye tukola wansi w'ekitongole ekikulu ekya TMC Media Group. Ffe TV10 Gano Mazima era nga osobola okutugoberera ku mikutu gyaffe ku Facebook era tuyitibwa TV10 Gano Mazima, ku Twitter saako ne TikTok era batuyita TV10 Gano Mazima wamu n'okusubscribinga ku YouTube channel yaffe saako n'okutuwa ebyo bye wali badde weetaaga twogereko oba okukolako mu programs eziddako oba kabe kasinge n'okutusomako ku mukutu gwaffe omukulu ogwa www.tv10ganomazima.news. Nze Salongo Dean Lubowa Saava Sekiranda. TV10 Gano Mazima.